This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Icon Podcast. I am your host, Gianna, and today we've got the opportunity of talking to Monroe Herington. I hunted him down as shareholders. We talked for a bit, and we got him scheduled for an episode. So excited to get to know your background, Monroe, and thanks for taking the time.
Awesome. Thank you, Gianna. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So take us back a little bit. Who are you? Where are you from? How did you grow up to become a real estate agent?
Yeah, good question. So I actually got started in the real estate industry professionally, I should say, in 2013. So going on 10 years. My dad's actually a broker up in the little town where I grew up, Crestline, California. It's kind of in the Big Bear Mountain area. So he's a broker up there, family of brokers. My grandpa's also a broker, aunts are in the business as well.
Okay.
So that's what I guess planted the seed. I never actually worked under my father's brokerage per se. As soon as I got my license, I moved out of town, and I was 20 years old and moved directly up to Lake Tahoe.
Oh.
I just thought it was a beautiful area and always kind of held the vision of living there. Also easy transition, mountain town to mountain town.
Sure.
So moved up there when I was 20. Sold real estate up there for 2 years, and ironically, the whole time I was up there, I was thinking about being back down in Southern California at the beach. So that was kind of my intention, and my goal was to save up enough money working in real estate to get down to the beach, to get down to San Diego. Fortunately enough, I was able to sell 3 houses my first year as an independent agent. They didn't really have teams in Lake Tahoe, so had to stumble, fall on my face, and figure it all out alone as a 20-year-old little baby bopping real estate agent.
Yes.
So got 3 sales under my belt, little over $1 million in transactions. Nothing groundbreaking, but it was able to keep me afloat. And then going into my second year, I was able to stay on track for about selling about 1 house every month. So really increased my productivity, and was coined as one of the rising stars at Sierra Sotheby's, where I started my career. And so after I sold my first $1 million lakefront house, I didn't tell my client, of course, but in my back of my mind, I'm like, this is my ticket to San Diego while we're under contract, thinking about that, $20,000+ commission or whatever it was. And so I ended up moving down to San Diego. Fortunately, was able to stay on track with that same production, even though I didn't really know anybody down here. Was just really grinding, sitting 3 to 4 open houses every week. So was able to sell about 1 house a month when I transitioned into moving down to San Diego. So that was fortunate. It was definitely a big risk at the time. I felt like I had a pretty good foundation in Tahoe, so leaving that behind and that income, that 6-figure income behind, as a 22-year-old was a little scary. But I always have this saying: don't be afraid to leave something good in search of something great, especially when you're 22 years old. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I moved down to San Diego, hit the ground running, and flash forward, switched a couple brokerages, went to Harcourt's Prime Properties, and did the luxury auction platform for a couple of years. Got a lot of good experience doing that, cold calling, just again keeping the grind going, and then switched to EXP back in 2019. I'm sure we'll go into the reasons why.
That's actually my next question is why, who introduced you to EXP, right? Why did you make the switch after kind of bouncing around all over the place, different opportunities here and there. So who introduced you to EXP? Why did that stick out to you? And why have you called it home?
Right. Well, so a lot of people, the name came up frequently. I think the first time I heard about EXP was back in 2017, 2018. I went to one of Dan Beard's seminars downtown when they first switched over, Dan Beard, Kyle Whistle. So I went to one of their seminars, was impressed, but couldn't really, fully see the vision. It was still marinating in my mind. So I actually ended up switching to Harcourt's, and then flash forward 2 years later, I'm sitting in one of my open houses, and someone, Chris Gusiero, who's in Pete Middleton's downline, came into one of my open houses, put a business card down, and said, and I just saw it, and I said, "Oh, I heard you guys switch to EXP." And Pete Middleton was the first luxury real estate agent that I heard of in San Diego, switching his entire team and organization over to EXP. So that was obviously inspiring, and it made me very curious as to what inspired them to make that move. So I started communicating and talking with Chris about EXP, what they liked most about it, etc. And I should say what initially sparked the curiosity was, at the time I had given over, I believe it was in 2018, I had given my broker over $100,000 out of my commissions. Wow. I think it was about $119,000 paid out of my commissions. And not to say my broker at the time was not a good broker. I have a ton of respect and love for Kevin Sanchez. He, I think, is a great broker, a great mentor, a great coach, taught me a lot. Really grateful for the experience there. However, just as a business person, I was looking at my business thinking, if I were to invest that $100,000 into my business, close to $10,000 a month into my business, what would that do for me?
Right.
And so that's what inspired, is just looking at different models, considering I was already generating my own leads, doing everything on my own, as I always have done since I got into real estate. And so that's what inspired and sparked more curiosity, was honestly the compensation structure and platform that EXP offers. And fast forward, here I am. I've been with EXP. It's 2022 now. Sorry, time is flying. So about 3 years now at EXP. And,
no, that's awesome. The numbers made sense. It's kind of sickening to think how much money you've left on the table in the past, but no longer, because at EXP you're able to earn that cap back in stock and multiplies, and that's pretty exciting.
Well, what was actually extremely exciting, and what made me just over the moon about this company, was my first year here at EXP. I was able to hit icon status, unfortunately. And during that year that I had joined, so what EXP does when you hit icon status, they essentially, you have your $16,000 cap, as you know, but they award that back to you in company stock through different cultural commitments you do with the company, really fun things. But ultimately, the stock that they awarded me back, and the money that I paid into the company, ended up going into stock. And I would say that money at one point was up 10, maybe even 15x. So I had made over six figures just on the stocks that they awarded me, coming from paying a broker six figures to being paid, not only earning 100% of my commission splits after that stock was awarded to me, to having made well over six figures on that, was just, and I'm actually underplaying it. I think that the account got up over $200,000 at one point.
That's awesome.
And obviously not coming from a bragging standpoint, but just I was so blown away, and I wasn't even paying attention to the stock at the time. I was actually on a call with one of my sponsors, my sponsor Chris, and I was like, hey, playing around on the platform, I'm like, where do you find your stock? I'd be interested to see where you find your stock. Clicking around, find it, I open it, and I'm just like, holy, like, what is going on? He's like, what is it? And I'm like, there's over $200,000 in my stock account right now. And, it was at that moment.
Is this real? Should I refresh the page?
Yeah, like what kind of crypto, I was like,
What the cryptocurrency is this?
Exactly. So, that was just a really unique experience, being with a company that had, given me the opportunity to create my own brand, to build my own team, but is also offering incentives that create just such a win-win culture and dynamic. And, it was at that moment that I realized I don't see how any other brokerage, and it goes far beyond the money,
right?
Just the money, in which I'm sure we'll get into. But, coming from a businessman, being in business, I'm here to make a living for myself, my family. And it was an awesome experience. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, for sure. And Monroe, like you said, it's more than just some money here. There's collaboration, and stock options, rev share. There's the online world, training, all of those things. So, what is your favorite part about being at EXP, or maybe something you didn't expect when you first made the move over that you are really enjoying about the company now?
Yeah, I always say it's a collaborative culture rather than a competitive culture. And coming from my previous brokerage, where it was I guess you could say healthy competition. It all depends on your relationship with it, but I felt that in some cases it was not so healthy. In who's making the most calls, who's making the most sales, and constantly being put in this position where we're trying to kind of climb on top of each other, towards going to a company that, by the very structure and foundation of how it was built and the vision that Glenn Sanford had in mind when he was building the organization, was how do we create a win-win dynamic, not only for himself, but for the agents, everybody that's involved. So I found that anytime I need something, anytime I'm struggling with something, I can go to almost any agent at EXP, even the top producing agents, the most competitive agents at the company, and they literally just open up their playbook and say, this is how I built it. This is what I did. And that's for a number of reasons. A, we're all owners in the company. We all have company stock. So we want to see that stock grow. We want to see the company grow. We have the ability to, obviously build our downline organization and attract agents into the company, share our story, and allow them to receive the benefits that we've received. So the more that the agents, talk highly about the company, the more that agents give to each other, the stronger it makes the company, the easier it makes to grow your team, your organization, and obviously your stock. So it's I think comes down to the very fundamental building blocks of the company that creates that environment. And very thankful for Glenn Sanford and of course his team for creating that vision, and something that hasn't really been done before. And
right. It's a brokerage for the agents by agents.
Yeah, I truly sometimes, I feel that I have just as much, power to create, within this company that, anybody else does. And I think Glenn, being the CEO and the founder, had that vision in mind all along to empower the agents. You never see, Glenn saying I'm the best or EXP's the best. It's all about, the agents and what they can grow, and they allow you to, brand yourself over here. Sorry.
It's reverse.
They encourage it, coming from brokerages where they're like, oh, when I was with, Sotheby's, great company, great organization, but you're very limited in what you can do as far as branding yourself. And so if that's important to you and building that legacy, that company of yourself is important to you, then I think EXP is a great middle ground, being able to create your own vision and not having any limitations here to create.
And that's what I like to tell people. It's like EXP is like the skeletons. It gives you the bones to build the rest of it on. It's just the foundation to build your own empire. And, a lot of people were like, oh, I don't like the logo, which is fair. That old Splatter logo was not cute, but now they have a little classier one. And even people like I live in Tennessee, but my dad's from Colorado, and he's like, I think there's billboards with that company you're with coming. And I'm like, which one? And he's like, the little writing. And I was like, EXP? And he's like, yeah. Like, they may not even know what it represents, but they're starting to recognize it. But they also see, other people are building their brand on top of it. And then it's like a team, it's a collaborative thing. And
Totally.
It's pretty interesting to see how people affiliate brands, right? And Monroe, moving on from your experience with EXP, let's talk about just your life, right? How do you balance it all? You're living in San Diego, you've got production, high production, you're probably all over the place. Work-life balance is tough to manage. So how do you draw the line between work and play and family and friends and clients and avoiding burnout mode for yourself?
Yeah, well, if you want to take a look into my life, you can, not to pitch it, but you could follow me on Instagram, and it's Mista Monroe, Mista.Monroe. And I think when you go into my Instagram, my life, you'll see that I definitely do strive to create a balanced life and to have a lot of fun. I think that that's extremely important, and one thing that I do is my morning ritual. Every day when I wake up, I make it my sole focus and intention to get my mind in the right place, no matter how long it takes, within reason, before I start my work day. And believe me, I've teetered back and forth. I woke up straight from work to grind mode, or sleep to grind mode.
Yeah.
And what I found is that if I wake up, I take my cold shower, I do my stretching, do my yoga, go out on the beach.
Shower?
Well, cold shower, it's not too cold. I live in San Diego.
It's a good way to ruin my whole day, but okay.
Yeah. Well, it wakes me up.
Fair.
Do some stretching, do some yoga, take care of my body, right? So I have the mind, the body. And I go out into outside and read. Read gets my mind stimulated. Read positive material that motivates me. And then, I guess embody a spirit of calmness and the vision that I want to hold for my day, and start my day in that way. And, believe me, I've faced plenty of challenges. And when I first got in the business, I felt like tiredness was weakness. And if I felt tired, then I would push harder. I'd slam another cup of coffee and keep going. And I think you just mature and you realize that, more is not necessarily better, and it's the quality of your actions over the quantity of your actions that produces the greatest results. But when you're learning that, you do kind of have to, flail a little bit and figure that out for yourself. So not in judgment of my past self, but just looking at it through wiser eyes now. Advice I give younger agents and people in my downline is calm down, simplify it. There's going to be a million different people throwing a million different things at you.
Right.
Simplify it. Find one or two things that you can do every day that you can consistently implement that will keep pushing that needle for you.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. And you're taking care of yourself. It takes like 2 years to recover from burnout mode. So it's important to incorporate that all, what can you do in real estate if you're laying up sick in bed or overly exhausted and can't take care of your clients, can't show homes or, be around your team. So that's tough. So you have to take care of yourself.
Or just not being in a good mental state. You answer the phone, you're a little crabby, you're not, and people pick up on that. So, if you can show up in a more, lighthearted, peaceful way, I think that, people will just enjoy it. And then that will lead to more business naturally because people like you. And
right.
That's what it really comes down to is those relationships. So making sure that you have enough left over in the tank to cultivate those relationships.
Right. And like also, like you said, being a sharp mind, there's so many little details that you're responsible for. Anything in a deal can fall through. So you want to be aware of pretty much all parts of the situation. It's not so easy being a real estate agent, as some would say. So Monroe, beyond that, obviously you have a high production. So are there any tasks that you've handed off to kind of get off your plate so you can scale up that business? Like, do you have a virtual assistant, a real life assistant, a team operations manager, TC, anything to kind of help you run a business at this scale?
I've had it all. I've had it all, and it's always constantly changing, evolving, moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I've had multiple in-person assistants. I've had VAs. Right now, I'm running pretty lean, but I currently have an assistant and a showing agent,
Cool.
and my business is a little different than a lot of agents' business. I did about 40 million in production last year.
Mm-hmm.
With the majority of it being buyer representation, and I think a lot of people look at me like, how is that possible? But it's just the way things have unfolded for me, and I do have a viewing agent who does an incredible job, Isaac, and he shows a lot of the properties for me, so that takes a big part of that off of my plate. And I think we have a really good working dynamic there. But I probably do a little bit more of the admin stuff than I probably should be doing. And I have had assistants that have taken that off of my plate and done an incredible job in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes people come and go. And,
yeah, it's tough.
So as of right now, I'm doing a lot of that work myself. And my part-time assistant does take up some of that burden.
Yeah.
But it's all,
just stuff to take off your plate to be able to move to the next level, and you've got to make those hires. And like you said, you've been through it all, and you just got to kind of see what sticks and what fits for you guys. And every agent is different, so that's okay.
Keep trying.
Keep trying. Exactly. I don't think you're going to be leaving real estate anytime soon. So, don't reinvent the wheel, but you got to find your own pace. So Monroe, what does that production look like for you out in San Diego? How many houses do you have to sell to be able to cap? What's that average housing price?
Yeah. So my average sale price is right around 1.3 million. Now I've sold houses anywhere from 200,000 up to 5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all over the place. But like I said, that averages out to around 1.2 million. So really only need to sell here in San Diego 2 to 3 houses to hit my cap,
Awesome.
which is fortunate. But yeah. I think that in San Diego, everybody wants to be. I shouldn't say everybody, but with Selling Sunset, all these shows, right? People.
You're not on that, or what?
Not yet, no.
Not yet, he says.
A lot of people want to sell Southern California real estate, so it's a very competitive market. There's a lot of agents here.
Sure.
Over 20,000 agents, or
wow,
somewhere around that, maybe give or take. So a lot of agents in this county. When you look at that compared to the number of homes sold, it's pretty crazy. But as we know, not all agents produce. So fewer. I guess point being is less volume here. There's less volume and little fewer transactions, higher sales prices.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course the 20 transactions to hit after that. So it's still a challenge for you guys, even though capping is pretty instant. You still got the rest of the year to hit those transactions. And then Monroe, after that, you've got a cultural commitment that you have to fulfill, whether that's teaching, mentoring, vetting other icons on an icon panel. So what is your cultural commitment and why do you choose to go with that?
Yeah, so I do like to do the vetting committee. I've done the vetting committee just to be able to connect with other icon agents. I think is crucial from a masterminding standpoint. And then also speaking on panels is something that I'm definitely going to be setting my sights on in the future, because that's giving back to the company to help other people that were in my same position get to where I am. I would have loved to been able, as a younger guy, to connect with someone such as myself, and to help me along my journey. So
Yeah.
that's a big motivation of mine, in my career now, is helping others and helping other younger agents get to where they want to be.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And as it should be. And that's, something you enjoy so much about EXP. So it's fun to contribute back to it and really, like you said, just enhance that collaboration that EXP has. And Monroe, speaking of, kind of mentoring, like getting affiliated with, not being the smartest person in the room, right? So say somebody's coming up to you and they're like, hey, Monroe, I just moved over to EXP, or I'm a rookie agent. I just joined EXP. I really want an icon. It's my first year here. Is it possible for them? What are some major mistakes to avoid, or just some advice for them?
I mean, not to sound cliche, yes, anything's possible as a new agent getting into the business. But if it's your first year and you're looking to hit icon status, that's an audacious goal. Definitely possible. I didn't. I'll be honest. But yeah, it's possible. I would say, set a goal. I think, as a new agent coming into the business, setting a goal to sell a house every month is sustainable, and it's something that you can, reset every 30 days. Like, my goal this year is to sell a house. My goal this month is to sell a house. And really, I break it down. So you have your yearly goal. I break it down to a monthly goal and then a weekly goal, right? And things that you have to do every week to get to where you want to hit your monthly goal. And I think your intention every week should be, I want to sell a house this week.
Yeah.
And then if you have that intention, you might surpass that goal of selling one a month. But I think as a new agent getting into the business, thinking you're going to jump in and sell, 2 houses a month, that might be a little intimidating. It's about setting reachable goals too, so that you continue to stay on track to meet
right
that.
And don't get discouraged either, right? If you're shooting too high and you don't hit that, maybe you're like, man, like, why am I even trying, right?
Right. Or if you're not on track to hit it, and then you kind of give up on your goal halfway through it because you're so far behind, you're like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do it anyways. Right. Versus if you set, an attainable goal, but still pushing yourself, I think that's, a good thing to do. So,
absolutely.
But to kind of touch on your question a little bit more, yeah, absolutely. I think like hitting icon status, like that should be your North Star, right? This is what I want to do. Just give yourself time to do it. Continue to show up every day, consistent, pragmatic action that will, bring you closer to that goal every day and help you grow every day.
Absolutely. And Monroe, for as far as, when EXP was introduced to you, you hear so many rumors in the industry, and it's a pyramid scheme, it's a cult. So were you ever skeptical of EXP when you first heard of it?
No, I wasn't, just because like in the macrocosm, I understand how business works.
Right.
And anything can be looked at that way, right? There's always going to be, if you look at any business, you have an employee, then you have a manager, then you have a bot, then you have a CEO. It all comes down from that. So, while EXP gives you the right to essentially own your own franchise, it's not a franchise, but that's kind of what it's like. You have the opportunity to bring agents into your organization. They have the ability to do so, and so on and so forth, and you all benefit from it. Meanwhile, that money is coming from company dollar and from a compensation structure and plan that makes more sense than any other brokerage anyways. Where's the downside? Where's the hole? Where are the holes? It would be different if the agents lost because the compensation structure isn't beneficial to those agents, and they're being charged 50% commission splits, or like a lot of these brokerages are getting taken 30% of their commission after their franchise fees paid. Then then that would be a different conversation. But the fact of the matter is especially when hitting icon status, you have such a great ability to keep all of your income, yet still earn from bringing people into the company. It's just smart business. So was I skeptical of it? No, because I actually sat down, listened, looked at it, and then made my judgment rather than just regurgitating what other people in the industry were saying or thinking.
Right.
So.
And, Monroe, not everybody's like that, right? Some people are like, man, I'm so loyal to my broker. And they say that, none of these things are attainable at EXP. So, but I see the greener grass. I want to make the move, but my broker says that I'd be crazy. So for anybody that may be watching right now and they have those second thoughts, but they see the greener grass, what would you have to say to them to kind of encourage them to make the jump, do the research?
Yeah. I'm not really a very pushy type person. I like to lead with value. So I would never, I don't try to hard sell anybody on anything. But if someone does want to make that jump, then it seems like they're kind of answering their own question there. And it may be things, I guess I would tell them, what's getting in your way? Is it fear? Because a lot of times that's what it is, right? If you see a better opportunity, you know it, you believe it, but you're still being held back. A lot of times it's fear of the unknown.
Right.
And so I think like any decision that's going to push you forward in life, there's going to be this somewhat of a leap of faith. I think EXP is a very calculated leap of faith in that way. It just makes sense. But if someone's more on the fence, I would just advise them to keep drawing pros and cons, see if it's the best fit for them. And maybe it's not. I mean, I am of the belief that it likely is, just because I've looked at so many different brokerage models. My dad owns a brokerage. I've been with multiple brokerages. I've studied them. I think it is the best model. But, everybody has their own take and their own opinion.
Right. And I think the best way to research it is, to raise your hand, come talk to these icon agents that I've been interviewing, right? Say Monroe's in your area, or maybe just Monroe is somebody you feel like you'd align with business-like and business mind-like and entrepreneurial mindset, reach out, see, what his upline can bring to you, what they, believe in, their cores for business and life and morale and everything else, and ask them questions about EXP, ask them what they like about it, ask them what they don't like about it. Do your research, because making a switch can be scary. Breaking up with a broker can be scary, but it's not like life or death, right? You can always go back to your broker. So
yeah, exactly.
What is there to lose?
Well, and if you think about, Gianna, where you and I met, right? We met the shareholder summit, right? And so going to those events is also and that's the coolest thing. Again, collaborative culture versus competitive. It's not like a brokerage that says, oh no, you're not with our brokerage, you can't come to our events. We encourage you to come to our events because, again, leading with value. So come to our events, see what it's about, talk to the agents. I mean, I've talked to agents at this company, that have literally sold 600 houses in a year. That's mind blowing to me. And me being able to connect and communicate with those, and they're just telling me, what they did, things that they did to get there.
Right. And it's so cool. And that we went over the shareholders icon breakfast. And I will be honest, I was at shareholders hanging out at the Sphere Rocket booth, because that's who sponsors this podcast. And, there were agents there that weren't with EXP, and they were checking it out. They're thinking about making the switch. And that's the best way to do some inside research without feeling like you're being sold to, right? Because everybody at EXP, they're not going to be like, are you with EXP? They're hanging out. They're introducing themselves to everybody. It's a big, friendly, fun event. So EXPCon's a good opportunity to check it out. And, just raise your hand, ask questions. We live in a metaverse, so send that Facebook message, figure out what's going on, ask the questions you want to ask, and get connected with these people. And I think you'll find a lot of peace when it comes to making your move after talking to the right people.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So Monroe, you're going to EXPCon then, I assume?
I am.
Awesome. Cool. I'll be there. So make sure to come find me at the Sphere Rocket booth again. And we're coming up on almost 35 minutes. Is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with as we wrap it up today?
Let me see. Let me see. I mean, there's always more to say, right? But I think we did cover a lot of great things. I would just like to say, keep a positive mindset, keep going. We're obviously approaching a market right now where things are changing, and that's okay. That the only thing that's constant in life is change.
Amen. So, that's what I preach that. So
roll with it and stay consistent and just keep going.
Adapt or get left behind, right? Well, Monroe, thank you so much for joining me today. I think it's been an awesome, great quality conversation today. You're welcome back on the podcast to do a spinoff anytime you'd like. And until then, I will plan on seeing you in Vegas.
Sounds great, Gianna. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.